Welcome back to Edgework here on the Hammer Betting Network, a daily live NHL show Monday through Friday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Today is Tuesday, March 21st. We are through the round of 64, the round of 32 for college basketball. And Matt, as our resident college basketball analyst here on the NHL Edgework show, how's things been going for you through the first weekend of March Madness, I should say?
It's an up and down affair. I dodged a bullet on Sunday night. Of course, the shot heard round the world.
Yes.
The most meaningless shot that meant so much to everyone didn't really mean all that much to me. I was on the Hammer little live stream that we did on Saturday, and I talked about how I was hoping to get -4, maybe even a little bit better there come game time with Gonzaga. And basically after, not because I said it by any means, but between the time I said that and 24 hours later tip, never got below 4.5. So I was able to stay away from Gonzaga -4. If it had been -4, or if I was able to get -4, or certainly -3.5, I would have died a horrific death at the wee hours on Sunday. Took 52 games for our betting moment, our purest betting moment in that, we weren't talking about winners and losers on the court. We were talking about winners and losers. There's so many winners and losers in the sports book. So yeah, if I had been against that one, Sunday went so poorly for me. Otherwise, I might never come back. And I don't even mean to the Hammer. I mean betting in general, or maybe even the NCAA tournament, or honestly life at this point. But yeah, as we talked about last week, really busy with that sort of stuff. I'll quote myself here. The last thing we said before you fired up the live stream was, "Here we go. I don't know what the hell's going on with the NHL these days. This should be fun." So let's rock and roll on a Tuesday.
Well, I know one person who is enthralled in what's going on in the NHL right now, and that would be Todd. And Todd, I saw you tweeting some stuff out this weekend. I need to know if it got resolved before we get into some of the games today. The NHL shots on goal has been a bit of a disaster. There's been some liberal scorekeepers adding shots, removing shots, not giving them. I saw Todd was in a little bit of a battle there on the weekend over an Alex Ovechkin tipped shot. Did this get resolved, Todd? What is going on with NHL shots on goal, props, and scorekeeping right now?
It did not get it did not get resolved by the NHL, but it got resolved by Ovechkin because he ended up taking 4 shots in the final 10 minutes to make sure that I breezed past anyways. However, I had a couple other instances where Kyle Connor ripped one on the power play. It was like a Saros blocker save. He didn't get it. Troy Terry on Friday night teed up a one-timer on ESPN with the puck tracker, literally shadowing the puck so you could see that it hit the goalie. He never got it, and that ended up costing him the win. He would have won if they counted that. So fun times.
Yes, fun times indeed. And Artificial 360 here in the chat saying, please don't start on the NHL scorekeeping. Not sure I can handle this conversation. They screw me all the time. Seems to be a very common theme. And as we know, our resident props guy, Toddy Props, that's a big thing for him, having to battle with every now and then with these shot props not coming in. But we will get to the games here today with 13 games on the schedule. It is. I mean, you bounced from 4 yesterday to 13 today, and then what are we going to have, 2 tomorrow? And the NHL just can't seem to figure it out in terms of balancing out some type of schedule. But nonetheless, we've got a ton of games here today. We'll break them all down, and I'm sure basically the theme of today is going to be this team is playing horribly, so we're betting on them. Let's look first at a team in Columbus heading on the road to the Washington Capitals. Columbus right now, I was saying it yesterday, I like now that we get to look at the NHL standings and see the little E's and X's beside some of the teams. Columbus, one of the teams who's now added the eliminated from the playoffs, a little emblem beside their name, sitting 8-21-5 on the road so far this season. They're on a 3-game losing streak coming into this one in Washington. Now, Washington, they are sitting 6 points out of the playoff spot. I imagine it's going to be extremely hard for them to fight their way back now at this point, especially with the way Florida's been getting results as of late. And 6 points back of Florida. They have Pittsburgh and Ottawa in between them. They're on a 2-game losing streak as well. Matt, maybe this is a spot for you where you might lean towards Columbus here tonight, sitting at plus 215, or is this a stay away spot?
Yeah, Zach, you just want to get perverse right off the start here with the Columbus Blue Jackets plus 220. Yeah, that's going to be one of my plays tonight. Honestly, purely a numbers play. And as much as we look at the Blue Jackets being a general horror show, and certainly in the last two games, right, a 7-2 loss to the Golden Knights, a 7-4 loss to the Ducks of all teams, who I didn't even know were capable of such things. We're going to give them a pass on losing 4-1 to the Kings. The Kings are a juggernaut that nobody knows about. Western Conference champions in the future. But the Ducks and the Golden Knights games, they're actually better than 50% expected goal share 5-on-5, 54% in both games. So if we're grasping at straws, those are some decent straws to grasp at. And of course, fundamentally, this comes down to a pricing situation here. I grabbed the plus 220 that was around this morning. There's still some plus 214s available. Basically anything sort of plus 210 or better, I would sort of grin and bear it here. Who are the Capitals at this point to, kind of be laying that much of a money line? Obviously, you can get into the narrative like they need to win the game, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, that's probably honestly why we're getting this priced upwards of the plus 200. Obviously, the Blue Jackets stinking would be the other element in getting a price this high. But honestly, the Caps aren't, frankly, any good. Looking to see, listen, I'm not looking to see it as far as whether I'm going to make the decision or not, but it certainly helps if Kuznetsov plays or doesn't play. Of course, obviously, it helps if he doesn't play, but still would be a bet for me no matter what. So we'll see whether he goes tonight. Obviously, I'd feel a little bit better if Kuznetsov can't go tonight for the Capitals. But yeah, this might as well start us off with a wild one on a Tuesday, Zach. I thought we were going to slide these in at the end, these real sicko moves that we like to do on a Tuesday, but you've really leaned into the bit here with me on Tuesdays, going straight for the jugular with the Blue Jackets plus 214, I think was available up there. So yeah, let's see. Let's see what happens.
I usually like to go in chronological order of the games. Sometimes on the Tuesday ones, I'd throw some of those to the back burner, and then we'll get to them later. Like, oh, do you have a play in this one? Would you lean to a side? Yeah. Now, based on the theme of probably like the last 3 consecutive weeks of how we've gone on Tuesdays, this morning when I looked at the schedule and I saw that was the first game listed on the rotation, I'm like, this is perfect. This is the best way to jump into it.
But... And you're just sitting there waiting for me to put into the chat Blue Jackets. When you saw that, you just went full on Mr. Burns. Excellent.
Yes, that's what I was like. Oh, this is all right. Good way to start this one. Well,
listen, we had our mega lean on the Blackhawks last week against the Bruins. That horror show, right?
Yeah,
that we openly sat out at plus 350 as home underdogs, and of course,
we play all the other ones, but we left that one out.
That one was a bridge too far, but and it didn't end up being that way. So hindsight is 20/20, but sometimes you just got to lean into these. I didn't play the Blackhawks last night when I theoretically could have. So you take you take the good with the bad, even if the good is plus 350.
Matt, I know that had to do mostly with numbers that you're playing in this one with Columbus here against Washington tonight, but Artificial 360 bringing up here in the chat, Columbus right now is in 0 F's given mode. Now, a lot of times down the stretch, when you see some of these teams that are in said mode, they start to kind of pull out some of these wins. Now, maybe that does refer to Chicago beating the Bruins the other day 6-3, or seeing Chicago push to overtime against the Panthers a couple weeks ago, or different situations like that. Some of these lower tier, lower end teams just randomly coming up with a win against some of the top tier teams. If you're kind of looking in this, you're obviously looking at numbers first, but I just wanted to ask, especially before we go forward, and I know some of these other ones are going to pop up, does this play a factor into it at all, where you kind of look at them and think like, all right, these guys are just playing loose, playing free. This could actually just lead to them winning or pulling out points, pulling out a win like that?
Yeah, I definitely, in that situation, kind of want to see what they've been up to lately. And that's why I sort of referenced the idea that they've had actually been the better team 5-on-5 when it comes to expected goal share in those last 2 games. Because if you just look at the score, you'd be like, well, the Blue Jackets stink, et cetera, et cetera. Now, when we come into, and I honestly don't know whether Artificial 360 is saying that in a positive way or a negative way when it comes to the Blue Jackets, because honestly, it could go either way. And when you go into some sort of different mode, and sometimes that mode is, gripping the sticks too tight because you're hearing about how you have to, stay in the playoff race like the Penguins, or, make a run at the playoff race like the team like the Flames. Like when you go into a different mode, that kind of brings in a larger swath of potential, right? Like it could go way, way badly. It could go way, way good in both situations. Like it could go really badly for the team that needs to win the game, and it could go well. I mean, honestly, it can't be worse this season than the Blue Jackets, right? Like maybe it's a full-on Costanza situation when if everything I do is wrong, the opposite has to be right. Now, one of those things that could be wrong could be Elvis Merzlikins, and maybe we get him out. Listen, the Senators put their 5th goaltender in. I wrote about the Senators yesterday on the concept that we might have to avoid Mads Sogard for the rest of our lives. And then the Senators are like, well, we got our 5th goaltender this season. Let's run him out there. And the guy stopped 48 shots. Right? How many Fs given was he throwing out there? Probably 0, or maybe all of them, because it was his like first NHL start, or certainly first one this season with the Senators. I don't know the elaborate history of the gentleman that started last night, but like that's an X factor that's thrown into the mix, right? And it's easy to point out when it's the goaltender like playing off his ass, but it's a whole different story when it's a team that might be playing a little bit differently towards later on in the season. So yeah, maybe the Blue Jackets get into more of a run and gun thing, and maybe they play a little more offensively and they actually score. And we get a little bit lucky here, but at plus 200 or better, you're sort of relying on some elements of luck. But guess what? That's the NHL, particularly in the regular season.
Dylan Furry for the Vesey.
Listen, you throw a few more of those games into the mix.
Yeah.
Todd, do you have any thoughts on this one in the total here? I see Insight is brought up now. It's something that's intriguing to him. The Capitals Blue Jackets over 6.5. And he brings up that the Blue Jackets are over 6.5, 6 of their last 7. The Capitals over 6.5 in their last 4. Now, some of this is obviously the trends going, and sometimes these can just fall off. That doesn't mean they're going to. Past results are not indicative of future performance. But in this one, would this be something you would look at here? The over 6.5 minus 109.
Only if Kemper doesn't start.
Okay, so you kind of hold out for that one. See the Kemper news. Yeah, fair enough. So if that comes up, if we see a goalie news pop across the screen at some point during the show, that'll be something we could circle back to. But we'll leave that one. Next game that I want to look at here. Now we're going to go through some of the 7 o'clock games. Continue. Todd, I know you and Matt are both looking at this one. You're both looking at the Buffalo Sabres here tonight at home against the Nashville Predators. Nashville has kind of dropped slowly out of this playoff push in the Western Conference right now. They're 5 points back out behind Winnipeg. They got 3 games in hand on them, so it could be made up. This is assuming that they're going to win all 3 of those games, and Winnipeg doesn't find a way to get things done with Connor Hellebuck and the pressure that they're feeling, and now 7 points behind Seattle. They do have Calgary ahead of them, and I saw a graphic yesterday that was the most insane thing I've ever seen in terms of Calgary. It was the most posts hit in the NHL, the most 1-goal games lost, the least third period comebacks. Like, this team just hasn't found a way to get it done all year long. They've been on the brink, but just can't get over that hump. Now, Nashville coming into this is on a 3-game losing streak. Buffalo currently has pushed themselves out of a playoff spot in the East, or out of the hunt of a playoff spot in the East. They are on a 3-game losing streak as well. But you and Matt are looking at backing the Sabres here tonight at home. Why would that be?
Nashville sucks.
Okay.
All right,
Mine was going to be Nashville might stink, but yeah, that's fair too.
But in all seriousness, they kind of won a few games right after the deadline ended, but they weren't playing that well. They were just playing garbage teams. But then they lost 2-0 at home to Chicago, so that tells you all you need to know. But their underlying numbers are not good of late. The roster, if you just look at it, is not good at all. Like, they have a lot of AHLers just kind of filling in spots to finish the season right now. Roman Yossi's hurt, so they have a Tyson Barrie, Jordan Gross top pairing, which is very gross. Sorry, I had to make that bad joke.
Yeah,
but also the Sabres, I believe, at home this year are 2nd or 3rd in goals per game. Their offense is really good, especially at home. I think they have a lot more talent. And then, as you mentioned, they're kind of falling out of the playoff race, but they're still close enough that like it can be a selling point. They still have something to play for. So I think they're going to take care of business tonight at home.
Yeah, and Roman Yossi's family wants me to let you know that he scored with 25 seconds left against Chicago to make that game 2-1 on the weekend, Todd. But more importantly, right, if Yossi's out, I mean, we've already been trying to I think last week we were talking about this with regards to a game against the Red Wings, and the idea that they keep playing these garbage teams, and that like we like their, potentially like the Red Wings that night. And then we're like, yeah, but if they beat the Red Wings, it's only going to be a win over the Red Wings. And then sure enough, right, they lose to the Blackhawks in the very next game, because yes, this Predators team largely stinks. And we've been trying to figure out, with all of the guys traded and injured, how to downgrade them in our ratings. And then if you're going to throw their best player out of the mix in Yossi, then, I mean, there is no floor when it comes to how bad the Predators might in fact be. So when I'm looking at this, I have like a 1% edge on the Sabres, and that's with kind of, my best guess on what the Predators are. And I honestly think I might be kind of overselling the Predators, even as I say that they stink in my own personal ratings, because I have like a full-on 10% drop for the Predators, and it might be even worse than that, right? We'll see over time here. That probably matches up eventually, but against the Sabres here, I think Todd's right. You're probably getting a little bit too good of a price, or sort of too generous of a price on the Predators, on the idea that, they're, at least within shouting distance of the playoffs, but that was a completely fraudulent little run there that they made to kind of keep themselves in it. This team is a bottom third team the rest of the way at the very best, honestly. It might be even lower than that. So yeah, give me the Sabres at a reasonable price here, anything under -150 essentially.
And you got Artificial 360 here saying couldn't get me to bet Nashville if they were +230.
Yeah, give me the Blue Jackets. Give me the Blue Jackets with 0 bleeps given over the Predators with 0 players available.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Matt. I don't know if I can tee you up any better for this next one here.
Oh, sweet God.
We talk about how Tuesday shows have fallen into this theme. Tonight we got the Florida Panthers on the road. This team is red hot. They've now jumped themselves into a playoff spot, surpassing the Pittsburgh Penguins last night with a Florida win and Pittsburgh lost at the same time.
Two pets.
You do have the second night of a back-to-back for Florida here, but that being said, they're on a 3-game win streak coming into this one. 7-2-1 in their last 10. This team has all the motivation in the world. They're seeing the results in terms of points on the board. They're seeing it in terms of getting into a playoff spot.
Tell it.
And so tonight, of course, you will be betting on who?
The Philadelphia Flyers is the other sicko perverse move, along with the Blue Jackets. Honestly, if we're looking at it in a slightly wider frame, we're hoping just one of these two teams actually wins. We're leaving out the fact that the Flyers, a little 5-2 victory against the Sabres on Friday, followed that up by taking the Hurricanes to overtime. I think the Hurricanes still pretty good. Before that, it was a little grim when it comes to the Flyers losing 4 straight. Listen, Flyers aren't very good. The Panthers are #playing good hockey. Alex Moretto quote from back when he used to be on this show before he left us for greener pastures and another different day of the week, or the World Baseball Classic, or La Liga. I can't keep track of it at this point in time. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, the back-to-back here element, built in is part of this. Certainly, putting this into a range that is "quote unquote" worth betting. +150 or better is sort of the target here. It might be the target to avoid if you don't want to bet on the Flyers. You're hoping maybe money comes in and they get below 150 and you can slowly walk away as if none of this has happened. But yeah, honestly, it's just a price element here. We're probably getting a little too excited. The Panthers rating this season has been up when they were bad. And now that they're playing, "quote unquote," again, #good hockey, it's getting a little out of control here. So at a couple of percentage points worth of value here, give me the Flyers along with the Blue Jackets as the sicko double. Not a parlay. Sweet God, not a parlay.
Reverse puck line.
Let's just Todd, relax over there. We're not reverse puck lining. We're not, this isn't going in a round robin. We are just hoping to get one of these two crappy teams home on a Tuesday night.
Nice. All right, yeah, we'll circle back to the reverse puck lines at the end. That'll be
yes, we will.
That'll be the parlay. We'll dunk all those together and see what we can come up with. And Jordan Mosley here saying -2.5 on both.
There you go. The Hawks would have hit against
the Hawks would have hit for I think 1,000,000 to 1 basically.
Yeah.
The odds on that.
I think that was accurate. That was the line I saw.
Yeah. Todd, I'm curious your thoughts in this Tampa Bay Montreal game here tonight. I know there wasn't really any bets in this one for us, but just in terms of breaking this one down, what we might be looking at and the price that we're looking at right now, Tampa has been one of those teams who is starting to garner some public scrutiny in terms of actually how they've been playing over the last little while, and people starting to actually question whether or not this team can figure it out before they get to the playoffs. In years past, you see them not winning games, not walking away with points, and you say, well, they're at least playing the right way, playing well, they'll figure it out and they'll turn it around. This year seems to kind of be the first year where there's actually some doubts in terms of whether or not they can do so. Now, they are on the road here tonight against Montreal, and you're looking at a Montreal team who's won 7-2 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game losing streak currently, going to face a Tampa Bay team at home. Now you're looking at a big price on Montreal, plus 220. Would either of these prices have any interest to you? Do you have any faith in Tampa and where they're at? Well, like, where's your thoughts on Tampa Bay and how you value them in the market right now?
I don't love Tampa Bay come playoff time. I think this team is more flawed than recent versions. They're not nearly as good at 5-5. The Devils, they've played them 3 times in the last week or so. They outplayed them all 3 times, the last 2 significantly so. So I think they can get I don't think they match up to the Devils, to the Bruins, to the top teams in the East. That being said,
Who else?
I don't know, man. The Leafs underlying numbers since the deadline. I don't want to talk about that right now because I have to talk about a play later. But I don't know. I'm not buying the Lightning stock long term. However, I'm not buying Habs stock tonight. Like, that team is just so bad. I don't want any part of it. Maybe Matt will fire in Habs minus 2.5 on his parlay, so I can leave that for him. But
yeah, that's
nothing there for me.
I need, like, you only because you mentioned it. This is close. This is close for me to get involved in the sicko collection. But we're needing probably like plus 235 on Montreal. And I'm just gonna not look at the odds board the rest of the day so that I don't. So that when Montreal hits plus 235 at like 6:15 tonight, I don't have to make a play on it. But
and wins 4-1.
Well, you don't know can't hurt you.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, which is why people should really avoid the Tuesday show, because if they don't know that they're missing out on these hot, massive underdogs, they can't be bummed out when they win or when they lose. To be honest.
Matt, you mentioned you were looking for like at least plus 235 there. Would that stand even with Doc and Gallagher back in the lineup for the Habs here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that might be why we're not getting it, to be honest with you, because a lot of times, I mean, listen, there's been, I'd say almost more than half the time this season, Montreal sort of pops up as that big underdog showing, 3, 4, 5% of value. And most of the time it's because their injury list is just absolutely ridiculous. And when you start
the roster,
when you start trimming some of the injuries off of that, then, the rating changes a little bit. And so that's probably why they're dipping closer to kind of a more fair price. Like, my fair price is minus 193 plus 193 on on either side, without the VIG. And so, we're getting a little bit closer to that. Probably need a few more guys healthy for Montreal, maybe, something along those lines to change things up here. But, I'm probably a little bit higher on Tampa Bay. I have them rated pretty much identical to the Leafs this season. I'm looking forward to a minus 110 on either side series price, or, whomever is favored in that. I think the Leafs would be home ice advantage at this point. I don't have the standings in front of me, but
they'd probably be slight favorites.
You're right. You'd probably give them a little bump there for the Game 7 potential, like last year, where maybe they're looking at a minus 120. But that'll be a fun one. I think
Zach's gonna have to sign off.
Yeah. You guys got the rest of the show, right?
Yeah.
I have a ton of respect for the people who watch the Tuesday show here as well and just follow along with us throwing darts on these alt line minus 1.5. And then there you got Artificial 360 saying taking a shot with the Habs
minus 2.5
destiny. Yeah, mix in a little quarter unit sprinkle on the minus 1.5, minus 2.5, flip the other way. So we'll see, but I can't wait to hear the results of that one or see those later when we look at the scoreboard. But Moving on to another game that we do have a play in for sure here. Matt, you're looking at the Carolina Hurricanes tonight on the road against the New York Rangers, and this Rangers team has been one of the better teams in the NHL as of recently. 4-game win streak right now, 7-2-1 in their last 10. Todd shaking his head, not enjoying hearing that, but a lot of it has to do with how well their offense has been playing, how many goals they've been capable of putting up. Carolina has been 6-4 in their last 10. They're still first in the Metro. 1 point up on New Jersey, 6 points up on the Rangers here. But you're looking to back Carolina going into New York here tonight?
Yeah, up until the Svechnikov injury, and honestly, maybe who knows? We're still sort of gathering information post Svechnikov, injury. The Carolina Hurricanes were the best team 5-5 in the NHL this season, and because of that, it's a hard. You're driving a hard bargain trying to get them at close to a pick'em price against anybody in basically any situation. We're getting that here, and until we sort of get more information with regards to the Hurricanes on how they play and how well they play without Svechnikov in the lineup, I only have about a 3% downgrade to their rating, and I sort of need to be proven that it's more than that. And as long as we're getting these, honestly, close to plus prices, even anything minus 110 is still pretty good for me. But obviously there's some minus 102s out there. And honestly, if people think, again, the Rangers are playing that well because of the results that they've had. We talk about the Rangers almost every week, right? We know what they're going to do. They're going to get outplayed theoretically at 5-on-5, but their goaltender and their upfront scoring and their ability to convert high danger chances at an unusually high rate, which is what happens when you have really good players, is going to make them kind of undervalued in a lot of ways. But when the results kind of pile up like this, it sort of turns when they play a really good team like Carolina, who can make them pay for playing at almost like a 60-40 type expected goal share rate, which is, something maybe not 60-40, but certainly like a 57% is kind of what I'm expecting from Carolina. Now, do they convert those chances? Who knows, right? Is it because Svechnikov is out? Who knows, right? And again, is it because Shesterkin's awesome at preventing them? Maybe, right? But at this point, we're getting close to plus money on a price here, and certainly a pick'em price on Carolina. And again, until the Hurricanes prove that they're helpless and hopeless, or significantly, have a significant downturn because Svechnikov's not there anymore, I'm going to just, I'm going to just sort of trust the numbers here and think that that's a pretty valuable bet, getting them under minus 110.
All right, Todd, why were you shaking your head? Let the people know.
I was just going to kind of go on what Matt said as well. The last 10 games, the Rangers goal differential at 5-5 is +6, but I believe they were +5 or +6 literally last game against that ass Nashville team without Yossi. So if you take that game out of it and just focus on the 9 before that, their goal differential at 5-5 is even. They've also been outplayed at 5-5, and the Hurricanes have the best penalty kill in the league. So if the Rangers are going to have to rely on the power play, I don't think that's a good spot for them to do that. So I also see value on the Hurricanes, and that's kind of what I was shaking my head at.
Gotcha. Well, also here, it did just flip over, so now it is at +103. So we did just see movement from -102. And to be very transparent with those watching or listening right now, I went to track it at -102 and it moved to 103. So I couldn't get the 102 in. So now we are getting the +103, and that will be what it is tracked at there for anybody watching or listening right now. So +103 in the Carolina Hurricanes money line. Moving forward, another game that I want to look at here, and Todd, I'm interested in your thoughts. As you kind of mentioned here, if you follow Todd, you obviously know who he supports, and the New Jersey Devils is going to be going down to New Jersey. So if you're from the New Jersey area, make sure to say hi to Todd while he's out there supporting the Devils. But Todd, I'm interested in your thoughts here tonight in this game against the Minnesota Wild. Looking at the odds for this one, New Jersey is a massive or decently sized favorite, almost touching up to the -200s on some books here against the Minnesota Wild at home tonight. Would you say that this is a deserving price for New Jersey? Is this a little bit long? Where are we at in terms of how they're being reflected in the market right now?
Okay, so if you take out goaltenders, I would say it's a deserving price right now, because without Kaprizov, the Wild are not playing very well, and they're also giving up a lot of shots and chances, which is normally their calling card, preventing them. So if you take out goaltenders, I could see that price right now. However, I don't love the Devils at this price because of goaltending. Vitek Vanacek is not playing very well right now for the Devils, whereas Philip Gustafsson the last few months has probably been, if not the best, like the second best goaltender in the league. He allows 2 or less pretty much every single game. His goals saved above expected is through the roof. I'm assuming he's going to get the nod tonight, so I don't really feel like getting goalied. So I'm not gonna partake at this price. But I do think the Devils are playing really well right now, whereas the Wild aren't really playing well right now without Kaprizov.
Yeah, I'm a little more likely to sort of allow the goaltending thing to bite me than Todd is. I like the Devils at minus 170, or sort of like that. That's to me a valuable bet. Obviously, if our resident Devils, I guess we call you a fan. You certainly are. I would say expert. If you're saying to stay away, then that's probably enough for me to stay away. But Devils at minus 170 is certainly interesting because I have, Kaprizov like a small downgrade to the Wild, and maybe honestly it's more than that. But I'm pretty conservative when it comes to Wild players in general, just because of the way that they seem to go about their business over the last few years. Even having sort of a lesser roster, at least perceptively a lesser roster, and still playing pretty well on a nightly basis. But Kaprizov might be a bit of a bridge too far there as well. So minus 170 is still a bet for me. But if Todd's saying no, then maybe we should all just walk away.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll leave that off our best bets list, but wanted to hear thoughts on that one regardless. And Todd, now we're going to go to you for one that I know you do have a bet in here. You're looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight on the road against the New York Islanders. Toronto right now coming into this one on a 2-game win streak. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10, but as you mentioned, underlying numbers since the trade deadline haven't really been there. They've been, I believe, the last place team in 5-on-5 play since the trade deadline to this point in the NHL. Now, going in to face off against the Islanders, who are holding on to the first wildcard spot in the East, 1 point up on the Florida Panthers with one more game played than them. But you're looking to back Toronto here tonight at a minus 115 price on the road. And why is that?
Well, the short answer is about 6 weeks ago they played, and the Leafs closed minus 240. The long answer is that in that game when they closed 240, it was Samsonov versus Sorokin. Both teams were pretty much full health. The Islanders did not have Bo Horvat then, but they did have Matthew Barzal then, who is not playing tonight. So I don't think swapping Barzal for Horvat and then flipping home ice is worth a 15 or 16% swing in win probability, which is what the market is saying right now. So I know the Leafs haven't been playing very well lately, but they have Matthews, they have Marner, they have Nylander, they have Tavares, they have Samsonov. They're all healthy. And this Islanders team is basically the same one that was closed minus 240 against a month and a half ago. So I think there's been way too big of an adjustment made here. I also think that while the Islanders have been playing well lately and they've won 5 of the last 7, they've been playing teams like the Sharks, Ducks, Red Wings, etc. When they did face the Kings or even the Capitals, which I would say are probably the 2 best teams of the ones they've faced lately, they lost both of those games. So I just think I'm not very sold on this Islanders team, and I think there's been way too big of an adjustment made from the last time these teams faced. So give me the Leafs.
All right. Track the Leafs there. And again, if you do want to see all the picks that we've made on the bets on the Edgework show throughout the course of this season, how we've done, what our success has been, what our record is, you can go find that in the BetStamp app, and you can find that on iOS or Android. You can find us in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ in there, so you can see everything that we've done throughout the course of the year, the prices we've tracked at, the units that we've tracked at. So make sure to go and check that out. Give it a follow as well. At the end of every show, I will recap every pick that's being given out throughout the course of the show, the prices we played them at, and the unit sizes that we've played them at. So if that's something you're looking for as well, make sure to stick around to the end of the show. So yeah, you can hear all of those as we do go through and break them all down. But we'll lock in Toronto Maple Leafs minus 115 money line here tonight on the road against the Islanders. Another game that I know there's a bet in here, Matt. Of course, what would it be without going with another underdog to close out the ones that we do for sure have bets in here? In the Vancouver Canucks tonight at home against the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm just going to leave it simply here. Why do you trust the Vancouver Canucks tonight against the Golden Knights?
So I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was last week. Who knows? I have no concept of time at this point in my life. You'll have to go
Same.
back and look. You can. We referenced the sort of zero bleeps given a little bit earlier when it comes to the Blue Jackets. I think the Canucks are quietly on a zero bleeps given kind of run here, right? I mean, yeah, they lost to the Coyotes. They're beating the Leafs. They're beating the Dallas Stars. Vegas, depending on how you feel about the Dallas Stars, maybe Vegas is the best team in this little stretch during the season here. But I talked about it like a week and a half ago, again, whenever, time is a concept at this point. I talked about how the Canucks, with Demko back, again, we thought about Demko in a really positive way before the season started. Then things got really negative, and now he's back and he's playing really well. And this team's playing better defensively. Again, we've talked about this before, that, the start of the season was a disaster, but it wasn't a disaster because they were necessarily a bad hockey team. It was a disaster because the good players on that team were doing the wrong things, allowing teams to come back from 2 and 3 goal deficits. So fundamentally now we're looking at a team that's probably around average, which again is a bummer if you were hoping they were going to lose a bunch of games here. And as much as the Golden Knights are 8-2, and in their last 10 games haven't made up any ground, or should say have gotten caught by the Los Angeles Kings, future Western Conference champions, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I think the Golden Knights are kind of an average team too. And so when you're looking at, I was hoping we were going to get a price of closer to plus 140 on the Canucks here. This opened, or at least I saw very early on last night, at around plus 125. I think it's dropped a little bit here. So I think the Canucks, if we're going to get that, thank you. I think we're now looking at plus 116. We're starting to get away from, there's the opening line price of plus 124, current line of 116. So I'm not the only one that likes the Canucks conceptually here, as this has been bet down a little bit. But I'm going to kind of not ignore necessarily my numbers in the hope of getting a plus 140. These are numbers based off of an entire season. And I think the Canucks, again, for better for worse, in March, have been a different team than they have been in the previous 4 or 5 months. So I'm sort of boosting their rating up here for the last few weeks. I talked about how with 18 games left, they'll probably finish 10-8. They'll probably be plus money in a bunch of those games, and they'll probably be profitable at a 10-8 rate. So I didn't bet them on Saturday because they were going against my Kings. Ended up, getting a shootout victory, which is the best you can do against the Kings because they do not lose in regulation time. I still can't believe the Kings weren't the favorite last night against the Flames. That was an abomination of odds making and market handicapping, etc. Happy to easily get the win in the 8-2 Kings victory. They're still scoring 8 goals game. They're not losing 9-8. They are now winning games 8-2. I don't know how this turned into a Kings rant, but that's where I am in my life. Basically, all I care
Kings
about
Tuesdays.
I had to squeeze some Kings Tuesday in because, honest to God, they're still available to win the Western Conference at better than 8-1. It's patently ridiculous. This team has wagon potential. I'm going to go to my deathbed on the Kings here, and maybe if they don't make the Western Conference, at least the Western Conference final, I might actually be on my deathbed. But when it comes to these last few weeks, and this is sort of a bigger picture betting thing when it comes to the NHL, find a couple of teams that you hate and a couple of teams that you like, and just kind of play those, or bet a futures Kings plus, I have plus 400 to win the division. It's down to 200, and just follow the Golden Knights and the Kings. And we don't need to play all 32 teams. We don't need to be deep into the weeds on some of these teams as much as we like talking about. And listen, I got 5 bets for tonight. I'm one to talk, but sometimes when it comes to these last few weeks, it's you know what, I really just care what happens to the Kings and care what happens to the Canucks, and from a positive standpoint. Maybe there's a couple of teams to fade here, like we talked about with the Predators, and honestly, maybe the Senators, depending on whether they're getting Vezina level goaltending from Dylan Ferguson on a night-to-night basis. That might be overrated or underrated, and just kind of finish off the regular season that way, and then we'll get ramped up in a big way for the playoffs.
I have a thing to add as well to that. I did not play this game yet, but if I did, I would be leaning the Canucks as well. Last 10 games, Vegas is dead last in expected goals against, chances against, high danger chances against, everything against.
Yeah.
And the goaltending has been pretty shitty. So if they're giving up that kind of volume and they don't have good goaltending, I don't know. I'm not racing to bet them as heavy favorites. That's for sure.
and again, this is with absolutely no research, so everybody just grab a pen and pencil right now. The Canucks had one of the all-time strangest statistical anomalies I saw were like 12-0-2 in their last 14 games against the Kings when they won that game on Saturday night. Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't even know if this is correct, but I saw this on the screen, so it's got to be right on Sportsnet. Maybe it is right, maybe it isn't. But I imagine Jonathan Quick was involved in a fair amount of those games, right? So while I wouldn't, I'm not gonna pin that record against Jonas Korpisalo certainly, and what was it, 2-1 or 3-2 extra time loss. I would pin probably a lot of those games on Jonathan Quick, and I think they're probably going to see Jonathan Quick tonight. And I think, as Todd mentioned, Jonathan Quick, along with the other goaltenders on Vegas, not very good. I don't think the team is as good as this record. Certainly not 8-2 in their last 10. That's outrageous.
And
plus
one more factor. One more factor. The Vancouver Canucks hate Connor Bedard. They do not want him on their team. They do not want any chance of getting him. No. So they're going to win every single game they possibly can, especially the ones that on paper you'd be like, oh, they shouldn't win this one. Even more the reason for them to win it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And when we talk about like zero bleeps given, right? Like because that sort of hope has been dashed as of, it started March 4th with that win against the Leafs, like just a game that they had no business sort of wanting to win as a franchise. And then just being like, well, guess we'll just reel off 5 straight wins and points in 7 of our last 8. Why not?
Rick Tocchet hates Connor Bedard. He does not want to have talent to work with.
Listen, these guys are competitive, man. Yeah. That's why they should never have, made that coaching switch, right?
And Quinn Hughes is going to play 30 minutes, maybe 40. Maybe 40.
Anything right up until the point where his ACL is like that phone charger you have at the side of your bed, just hanging on for dear life. Zach really enjoyed that one.
Just dangling in the
because he knows he's thinking about it. He's like, I can't believe this thing still charges stuff.
Yeah.
And then he buys like
for 13 years.
Yeah. Then he buys like a 6-foot one that like is like reinforced. That goes like around his couch, and then like 2 months in, he's like, "Why doesn't this work anymore?"
Yeah,
I can't believe
exactly.
This. Meanwhile, like the Apple one is like a one thread of coil, and somehow super powered, and still is charging everything in sight.
Yeah,
it costs $90.
Yeah, that's Quinn Hughes' ACL, by the way, everybody. That's his ACL.
Right.
The same thing.
Thank you. You got Artificial 360 here saying in Italian households they are known as the Vanculo Canucks.
All right. Fun fact. There we go.
Todd, circling back to the Capitals game quickly here. There's a couple things, some housekeeping things based on.
Oh,
based on the chat.
This is just falling right off the rails.
Sorry, Stella's barking.
All good. Todd, you had mentioned looking at the over. If Kemper wasn't going here, I see insight saying Kuznetsov centering third line at Caps morning skate. John Carlson was paired with Irwin, and Lindgren confirmed for Caps. Would you circle back on this game at all and take a look at the over 6.5 minus 109 here?
I might, because I'm pretty sure
Carlson out tonight for Caps. There you go. Another conflicting reports. I'll see what I can find in the background here.
Okay, I would have liked him to play, but Charlie Lindgren has been very bad since the calendar flipped. So I think, do we have a goalie for Columbus yet? I just know nothing over here.
Give me like 2 seconds. I'll see what
I can find. Let's circle back again. Let's get into Toddy props and then circle back.
No, not confirmed, but looking at Daniil Tarasov right now for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Lindgren is confirmed. I am seeing that.
Literally any human being other than Elvis Merzlikins is a positive for the Blue Jackets, right? Like we can.
Yeah, Tarasov's probably the best goalie they have. I would prefer it was Hutchinson or Merzlikins, but.
Okay, here we go. So Roman Stubbs, Washington Post sports reporter, has tweeted 2 minutes ago, John Carlson is close to returning but will not play tonight, per Laviolette. So no John Carlson, and Lindgren confirmed.
Okay.
Blue Jackets alt line.
I still lean to the over. I still lean to the over.
Okay, so
you can play it if you
official.
want.
Oh, okay. So we will lock that in then. The over 6.5 minus 109. Now, what else was I looking at here in the chat that's going on? Montembeault going for the Habs, and then I'm seeing Habs minus 1.5, Habs minus 3.5, So
Habs minus
bunch
5.5.
And Jordan Moso saying Habs, Blue Jackets, and Coyotes minus 1.5 parlay. There you go. That is the way to play that one here for tonight.
I love what we should turn the show into. Everyone just comes in every week, picks the most disturbing teams on the board, minus 1.5.
All the dogs, flip them, go minus 1.5. That's what we're looking for here tonight. There's a few games we didn't touch on. I just want to go quickly through and ask you guys if you had any bets that you were looking at in those or anything you want to go through. So Ottawa, Boston, Matt, Todd, anything there that you guys were looking at?
No.
All right, we'll move on.
I mean, is Dylan Ferguson going to stop 48 shots again tonight? Is he?
Yeah, I'm just going to check what Boston's team total
Can
is.
somebody let
they're
me
going
know
to the sixth
about that?
goalie tonight. Actually, they're going to the sixth goalie.
Sixth
for
goal.
the
They're
Legacy game
sixth.
tonight.
Oh,
Yeah.
Available
jeez.
goaltender? Okay.
Okay, Bruins team total, I was thinking maybe, but it's minus 160 for 3.5, so never mind. Cancel
So
that.
nope. Okay. Then next game did not get to Detroit St. Louis. Anything there for either of you guys?
Forgot that was a game.
Jakob Vrana to murder the Red Wings, minus 5,000.
Okay. Hold on for the props. Okay, we'll get to
sorry.
those. We'll go through them all at once. Arizona, Winnipeg. Other than minus 1.5, Arizona. Anything you guys are looking at there?
I don't think I texted this in. I kind of like the
No.
Coyotes.
Oh, wait.
Surprise.
I could maybe get down with an under.
Okay, all right, let's run through this then. We'll go through both that we've got here. So, Matt, or Todd, let's start with you with the under you could be convinced on, and then we'll close out because obviously we're going with the Coyotes here tonight. Why wouldn't we? But under, Todd, you're looking at under 6.5?
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if Hellebuck's confirmed.
Okay.
No, he's not. Nobody's confirmed yet. But
He's not
if Hellebuck-
confirmed, and this number still is up to plus 249.
If Hellebuck is starting, I like the under.
If Hellebuck's starting and this
wait.
goes up over plus 250, like this is a thing and it's happening. Arizona Coyotes, what's up?
And
God.
obviously flip.
Another dog.
Minus 1.5, yeah. Okay, so Matt, would you play this one as it is right now with no goalie confirmed for Winnipeg, or just leave as is, wait for goalie confirmation, then make a decision?
No, I'll play it. I'll play it at plus 240 because I mean, listen, I had plus 230 question mark written down in my notes, and if we're gonna blow right through that, like, what could have possibly happened in the last half an hour to move this up, other than things that I was already kind of assuming that were going to happen, i.e. Connor Hellebuck playing. But the last I saw Connor Hellebuck, he wasn't really playing all that well in that 3-0 loss against St. Louis. I believe he started that game. Again, I'm trusting at this point, I'm trusting stats, the ticker stats on networks, because I'm deep into the weeds in college basketball. So I have to sort of acknowledge that those might not be necessarily accurate. But yeah, he stopped 14 of 17 shots against St. Louis. Like, that's not the Connor Hellebuck I know. And so if he's starting tonight, then yeah, we're going to get a better price. But if he's not starting and we can lock in a plus 249, like, I'm kind of into that too. Again, just one bet, nothing crazy. We can throw that in the mix with the Flyers and the Blue Jackets and all the other like plus 200 underdogs that we put together this season that have won at a pretty decent clip. Like, we've been, I think, at least 40% on these like plus 200 and change underdogs, which is all you need to be profitable, even if it's not necessarily tonight. Over the course of this entire season, as we sit here on March 21st, they've done quite well.
Today's going to be the funniest board to look back at. We're through like 8 plays that we have, and we haven't even got to our toddy props yet. All right, final game that I got to ask you guys about, because I'm very intrigued in this one. Let's just pull this one up and dig right into it. The Calgary Flames have just been not able to get anything done, and they're facing Anaheim tonight plus 200. Is this a price we'd be willing to look at here, guys?
I'm just gonna pretend this game doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over to you.
There's a rogue plus 201.
Block off this road. You've done enough.
Well, again, like I was going to say, I didn't know if we were going to talk about this or not, so I sort of blew my Kings rant earlier. But like, what was that last night? What were the Flames doing as favorites? What were they doing with a minus in front of them, even around Pick'em against the Kings? Like, what are we doing with this Flames team?
You're getting me up in arms now. Now I have a gripe with the Flames as well.
Well, just like I mean,
No,
the
no,
gripe
no.
is like they stink. Like they're not.
No, I have a different gripe.
Oh, what's
Under
the gripe?
9.5, under 9.5 penalty minutes. I had the Flames under 9.5 penalty minutes last night. They were at 8 with 9 minutes left.
Punch
I went
somebody
to
in the
bed.
face, right,
I went to
Todd?
bed. I went to bed, and I wake up and see that Zadorov and Kadri got cross-checking like a minute after I went to bed, both of them, and then so it went over on the penalty minutes. That was my first penalty minutes prop loss that I've since I've started them last week. Don't ask. There's big edges.
Oh, I can't wait. 2023-24 season over at the Score. Is Todd ripping off penalty minute props? Oh, get it into the article chart, Todd
Man,
boy.
they're good. I'm telling you,
Get it
they're
into
good.
the story chart.
I'm like 6-1 on them.
Oh boy.
And of course, the Flames had to ruin it because they ruin everything.
6-1 YTD.
Stupid-
That's
stupid
going right
team.
at the top of that article.
Yeah,
I love
it
it.
is.
Yeah.
Can we get penalty minute props on BetStamp here?
I'll see what I can do for you guys.
I need to compare best market price.
I will tell you this. Last year, but Matt, before you get into your breakdown of why we're taking Anaheim,
I got nothing
money
left to
line
say, man. The Flames stink.
It's
That's
just gonna
why.
start quacking.
The Flames stink, and they're plus 201 on the Ducks available at Pinnacle. That's the story. Flames stink plus 200 or better. There you go. So
We should just do this the rest
do
of
your
the season.
shot
Just mail
props,
it
do your
in.
penalty props. Like Flames stink. That's all
I haven't
need.
got to look at penalty props yet. I need to start diving in.
It's supposed to be Fridays that get mailed in, guys. What are we doing here? We can't even say we mailed it in. We have
No, this is
9
electric
best bets
content.
today. Yeah.
It is.
If you're not tuning in on a Tuesday, what are you doing with your life?
I just say so. Last year we went to a Leafs, game 2 of the Leafs playoffs against Tampa, and we were basically at this point it was like EV was just being thrown out the window, like we were just degenerately betting, and one of the guys actually did come up with a positive EV play. We had Wayne Simmons over 0.5 penalty minutes, and it was like plus 200 or something absurd. And he's like,
So
all
don't
right, like
knock it
this
till
is
you try it.
yeah, we were like, he's
I'm
like,
not
this is my
knocking it.
best bet for tonight. We all bet it. And that was the one where we're expecting, like, all right, game 2, you're going to go into this one. It's going to be a little rough and tumble. You're going to get a fight or something break out. Wayne Simmons is going to be involved. About like 5 minutes into the first period, I'm pretty sure Wayne Simmons took like a tripping penalty. And that was how we won the bet. It was like, all right, there you go, done. Like that was, we all cashed like plus 150 to 200, whatever it was. And that was the way we went about it. But all right, I guess if we don't have anything else there,
If Wayne Simmons is breathing, he's getting himself a penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Jordan Mosel is taking Ducks, Yotes, Blue Jackets, Habs minus 1.5 parlay. Pays 1,300 to 1. So there you go. You want to lock in the money printer. We'll never tell you that you can get rich quick betting, but if there's ever a night, maybe tonight is the night. But there you go. That's all the money lines and totals for tonight. Todd, as always, the best way to close out the Tuesday show. Bang off all the toddy props, and then we'll recap everything that's been placed here tonight, as we do have a lot of bets. But Todd, what do you got for us for your player props for tonight?
Do we want penalty minute props? I just did 2. I'm just firing through them right now.
Yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. I can't track them, but if you want to give them out as something for everyone else to go and find for themselves, I'm fine with that. But just so you know and everyone else knows,
say them
I
out
can't
loud.
track them.
Okay, I'll just give 2 then. I'll just give 2. All
Okay,
right,
go for it.
So the Sabres-Preds game. Preds under 9.5 penalty minutes, minus 115. They don't take many penalties. I don't even know what else to say. They don't take many penalties. They've averaged 4 penalty minutes the last 10 games. So give me under 9.5 at minus 115. Also, Sabres under 7.5 penalty minutes, minus 115. They've averaged 322 in terms of penalty minutes the last 10 games. They're also only at 426, which is top 5 rate for the season. They don't take many penalties. Basically, the only way they'd get over this number is if Dylan Cousins and all the Sabres start fighting guys. But they only do that against the Bruins. They're not going to do that against the Preds. So I like both teams under the penalty minutes in that game. So that'll make up, because I only have 3 toddy props today, even on this huge slate. So I had to make up for it somehow. Okay.
Wow.
Let me get into them here.
Yeah.
I can't find them. Okay, I found them. First toddy prop, Jack Hughes over 3.5 shots. I always take Jack Hughes. That's why I'm taking him. No, I'm kidding. He has a 64% hit rate this season, 71% on home ice. He's hit 9 of the last 10 at home, averaging 7.7 attempts in that span. So it's not like he's not shooting much and just kind of fluking his way to hits. He is generating a lot of shots. Also, as I mentioned, the Wild, without Kaprizov and some of the others that they have injured right now, they're allowing a lot more shots. They're 28th in 5-on-5 shots against since the trade deadline, and they're giving up a lot to centers in particular. Last 10 games, only Arizona, Chicago, and Vegas are giving up more shots to centers. So I like Hughes. Then I like my road warrior, Martin Necas. He has a 71% hit rate on the road this year, which is 24% higher than at home. His shot outputs are higher on the road. With Svechnikov out, he's on the top line, top power play, whole 9 yards. Last 10 games, Rangers are bottom 5 to shots against versus wingers on a per game basis. So I like Necas. Then lastly, David Pastrnak, over 4.5 shots. He's faced the Senators 6 times since the beginning of last season. He hit in 5 of them. The one loss, he only missed by 1 shot. He's averaging 11 attempts per game over those 6 matchups, which is ridiculous because he leads the league this year, averaging 8.7, and he's averaging 11 against Ottawa. He's also better on home ice. The Senators are in a road back-to-back. Their playoff chances aren't looking very good right now. I think this is a spot where they could give up a lot of rubber. So that's it for me.
There you go. There's the 3 player props in terms of shots on goal. But Todd, before we go and recap all the picks from today, Insight asking here, he says, good luck with your bets and may the winners be yours. Todd, what books for the penalty minute props?
Botano is where I see them. I don't know if other books have them. I've never even checked, honestly.
Okay. I know there was one, but they are exiting Ontario, so I know you can no longer no longer play those.
You got 2 weeks left, right? You got a week left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That should tell you which book that was. But in terms of picks for today, we'll run through these here, pull them up on screen. All right. Plenty of picks, so stay dialed in here. And
should we rerun my warning to not play that many games the rest of the season while we show all the games that we played tonight? Should we
yes.
do that or no?
Yes, exactly. You want to give that? Actually, you know what, Matt? Here you go. Give the precursor of what you said earlier, and then I'll give through these.
So yeah, you're only gonna want to focus on a couple of teams, right? Let's try to keep the volume down the rest of the regular season.
Let's not get crazy.
Chill out,
get
relax.
crazy. You don't need like an 8 to 10, game night. There's no reason for that. All these teams, you don't know what to expect, et cetera, et cetera. So, try to keep the volume to a dull roar and only have 8 games tonight.
And penalty minute props.
And penalty minutes. And shots on goal.
Props.
And with that being said, let's recap the picks for tonight, as obviously we've stuck to our own rules here. We're looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets money line plus 214. First of all, we're going a full unit on all of these here, so keep that in mind as I run through them. But Columbus Blue Jackets money line plus 214 against the Washington Capitals. We're also looking at the over 6.5 minus 109 in that game. And that was as we got the goalie announcement. Kemper was out, Lindgren in, so taking the over 6.5 minus 109. Now, moving on to the next game, we're taking the Philadelphia Flyers money line plus 158 tonight at home against the Florida Panthers. That is the Philadelphia Flyers plus 158 money line against the Florida Panthers. Next up, we're looking at the Buffalo Sabres minus 142 money line against the Nashville Predators. Minus 142 money line, Buffalo Sabres against the Nashville Predators. And that one's because the boys just think Nashville stinks. So hopefully that's enough reason for you guys to get involved with that one as well. Next one, we go to the Carolina Hurricanes New York Rangers game. We are taking Carolina plus 103 on the money line against the Rangers tonight, plus 103 money line, as well as Martin Necas. Is that how you say it, Todd? Necas?
Yeah.
Necas?
Yeah.
Necas?
Yeah.
Necas.
Okay, there you go. Something or other.
Maybe when he's a 10-year veteran, we're going to get this guy's name figured out. 5 years is clearly not enough.
Over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 114. So that's Martin Necas. Over 2.5 shots on goal, minus 114, as well as the Carolina Hurricanes money line, plus 103 in the game against the New York Rangers. We're also looking at David Pastrnak, over 4.5 shots on goal, minus 110 tonight in the Bruins Senators game. Pastrnak over 4.5 shots on goal, minus 110. Next up, Jack Hughes over 3.5 shots on goal, minus 130. In the Devils wild game, so that's Jack Hughes over 3.5 shots on goal, minus 130. Then we are looking to take the Toronto Maple Leafs money line, minus 115 tonight on the road against the New York Islanders. Minus 115 money line for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Holy boys, lots of plays here tonight. Arizona Coyotes.
It's going to be tough to put in the TikTok, Zach. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you need like 4 of them.
Arizona Coyotes plus 249 money line tonight against the Winnipeg Jets on the road. Plus 249 money line, Arizona Coyotes. And finally, the Vancouver Canucks, or as Artificial 360 said, I believe that was who said the Vanculo Canucks in the Italian households. Vancouver Canucks plus 116 money line against the Vegas Golden Knights. Yes, Matt.
I can't imagine this not coming back to bite me, but why are the Anaheim Ducks at plus 201 not on the list?
Get them in there. You lost track of how many plays we have.
Yeah, I did lose track.
I have 2 more penalty minute props. We've already gone over
Zach,
an hour.
it's not going to matter, man, because by the time the TikTok gets to the Ducks game as the last game on the schedule, the people who have TikTok, all of which under 25 years old, are going to shut it off because their attention span wouldn't allow themselves to get all the way through the TikTok.
Right.
So
thank God today I'm not the person doing the TikTok, because I have to go to record some other things, and I have to record 2 other things today. So I can't do the TikTok today. So that is somebody else's problem.
Some other things.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't do this one, buddy.
I'm just gonna send a precursor of like a pre-scheduled note to the other producer, Jason, and say every morning, every Tuesday, hey Jason, looks like I have something else today. Can you do the TikTok today? And just knowing what we're gonna have.
45 bets
yes.
on the schedule.
Well, before I get to you, Todd, we did
Zach
Anaheim.
didn't realize there was a Q&A portion of the show today.
Yeah.
I have too many bets. I have to get them out.
Yeah, I did lock in plus 201 Anaheim Ducks money line there for anybody else who's wondering. So that's been added on. And now something that we can't track here, but Todd will give you 2 more bets for tonight.
This
Go
is
ahead,
why
Todd.
you tune into the show. You get
Yes.
these penalty minute bets. Okay, 2 more. Montreal Canadiens under 11.5 PIMs, minus 115. They're averaging like 4 PIMs a game. The end, I guess.
God, I hope so.
Minnesota under 10.5 penalty minutes, minus 115. The Devils do not get power plays. This is not a bias thing or me like saying it. I'm checking the stats right now. Only Vegas has spent less time on the power play this season. The Devils draw 4 minutes and 20 seconds worth of power plays per game. So I will take Minnesota at under 10.5 at minus 115. Thank you.
Is that is this it? Like, can I close the show?
Yeah.
We got
Are there
more.
there's got to be key numbers with penalty minutes, right? Like 9.5, 10.5. Like that's like 7 and 6.5, 7.5 in football, right? Like
I usually see 7.5, and then there's just randomly teams that don't even take penalties at like 10 or 11. So I always just do those ones.
Because of the by 2s or whatever, there's not a ton of fights to get us off the
exactly
off the even numbers.
Yes.
Oh, 7s, because you could get the occasional 5 every now and then. Just
But like that's not enough.
On a 2.
I mean, if you get a 5, you're probably going over no matter what.
Unless it's a 10 or 11, potentially. But anyways,
Anyway.
I'm not expecting many fights between the New Jersey Devils and Minnesota Wild or the Nashville Predators and Buffalo Sabres.
Okay, this might be a stupid question. I will fully take that one on the chin, but I'm curious because it just crossed my mind. But penalty minutes, is this penalty minutes awarded or penalty minutes served?
It would be
Awarded.
All right, just wanted to clarify. Wanted to make sure. All right. But I told you it might be a dumb question. I need to ask it anyways, though. I need to make sure.
Listen, I could blow this. I could blow this pod straight out of the water with a question about penalty minutes. But I'm not going to because we're at 1 hour and 4 minutes. So
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. You guys.
Todd's dog's made 11 appearances already in the show.
All right. I will wrap this up now. To anyone who tuned in here today, if you haven't already subscribed to the Edgework HQ YouTube channel, please make sure to do so. More content like this, more hour-long shows of breaking down penalty minutes and
Stella's going to get some penalty minutes. Gonna have to send her the sin bin.
hit to the head. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to do so. You can also like this stream. That helps us out a lot. You can follow us on Twitter to see all the to see when we're going live, who's going live on what days. Make sure to follow us on Twitter there as well. And if you want to see all the picks that we've given out throughout the course of the season, you can find us in the BetStamp app on iOS and Android in the Find Better section as Edgework HQ. So make sure to go see that. You can see our records, see our ROI, see the CLV we've put up so far this year. So make sure to go check that out. But as a reminder, all the picks will be hidden until game time. So if you want to see the picks, you got to come here to the show. You got to watch it through, or you can watch it back. You can see at the end of every show, like today, do recap all the picks that were given out. So thank you to everyone who tuned in. Greatly appreciated. Matt, Todd, thank you guys for taking the time. This was a long one today, so you guys are very gracious with your time. Really,
I had to empty out the clip. I'm off for the next 2. I had to empty out the clip. This is 3 weeks worth of content for you guys all today. So we'll see you in 3 weeks for the playoffs.
Sounds good. Well, Matt, thank you for taking the time today. Enjoy your trip. Congratulations. We will see you in a few weeks then when you are back. Todd, I will see you back here next Tuesday. We'll have to bring Alex back in. We'll drag him right back in just when he thought he got out and was just on the Wednesday show. We'll see if we can get him back here on the Tuesday. But thank you guys for taking the time today. Really appreciate it. And for everyone who tuned in, appreciate you taking the time, spending your morning with us as well. And I will see everyone back here tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time for another picks and preview show here on the Edgework HQ YouTube channel. Good luck on your bets tonight.